morning.
All right, welcome back to Juice in the Morning. We've got Crave Hannah or Hannah Craven with us. We also are joined again by Shane. Thanks for coming back to the show, man.
Appreciate it, guys.
It's good to have you guys here. We've already talked about a lot of stuff, so hopefully we still have some stuff to talk about on the podcast. I think that I really appreciate everybody that's downloaded, subscribed, and reviewed. The podcast is getting a lot of reviews and getting a lot of traction, and just keep doing that. You guys can always interact with me on Facebook. Just search in the search bar for Juice in the Morning. We're on Twitter at Juice in the AM. Hannah's at Crave Hannah on all social media. And then Shane, do you want to promote your social media?
Yeah, it's Shane _ Uriah. Uriah. That's my middle name.
Middle name.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, cool.
And I'm going to turn that up a little bit. And so basically this episode is going to be kind of just like a random slew of topics. There's a couple of things that I've been thinking about quite a bit, and I've wanted to bring them up, but I just never seem to find the right moment. And I also forget about it because they're in my notes in my phone. And then also partway through the episode, we will be calling into the Vantucky Fried Chicken Podcast. It's not fried chicken. It's just the Vantucky Fried Podcast. I always mess up names. We were talking about that beforehand as well. But we're going to be calling in, talking to them. They're going to ask us kind of how we got started with podcasting. Shane will be able to weigh in because you're kind of, you're in the beginning right now. So
yeah, very new.
It's going to be exciting. It's fun to talk to other people. They're in Vancouver. So if we can get some reach out there, that's kind of cool.
They're gonna say a boot like a lot.
I don't know. I feel like when I listened to them, they didn't have very region specific accents.
It's gonna be like Bobby's World. You remember? Hey there, don't you know?
Sorry.
Sorry, very sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah, I hope they don't get offended by that, but that's okay.
I love going to hockey games and just talking shit to Leaf fans.
So one of the first things that I wanted to kind of talk about is, and I've never gotten a chance to bring it up on the podcast, which is I think that I'm trying to figure out, is it just me or is getting older things starting to be like not as exciting? So for example, my first example is like Christmas. Like when I was a kid growing up, I was super excited for Christmas Day. Like I couldn't wait. I wanted to get up. I was up at like 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, waiting for my family to get up or trying to wake them up. Because I was excited about giving gifts, getting gifts, opening stuff, and just seeing what I got and seeing how exciting it was going to be, and just eating the food. My mom always made a great breakfast on Christmas Day. It was awesome. Biscuits and gravy, that kind of stuff. Now I'm excited about hanging out with family, but the rest of it seems like a hassle, and it seems like it's just a problem, and it's always like I gotta go do something, and I would rather just spend this time off just chilling. So, do you guys feel like it's a normal thing, or do you think it might be just me being a negative Nancy?
I mean, yeah, I feel like the stress and everything kind of starts going on you. Like, your parents are just stressed out when you're younger, like, making sure like everything's perfect and making like bringing all this stuff together. But then that starts to transfer responsibility on you. So you're like,
yeah.
Why am I so stressed?
I think it's a big responsibility thing because when you get older, you have more responsibility. And when you're a kid, you just kind of get to enjoy those things and enjoy the food, enjoy the presents. And you still believe in Santa. So.
Yeah. Wait, what?
No, I still believe in the jolly fat man.
Yeah, I was going to say, Santa's not real. My parents still, to this day.
Do they write Santa on your gifts?
And like the youngest person in my family is 21 almost. Like, nope.
My dad does that too, and he thinks it's hilarious.
My parents used to call me the Kim Kardashian of our family because I was like having meltdowns about everything, and so they write Kim K on my gifts. I'm like, okay, mom, funny.
I don't know, that could go into a really weird place, though.
True. Like, where's Ray J's gifts?
So as a dad, has it revitalized that at all for you, Shane?
Yeah. So my dad's always been a big part of my life. So like when I just want to be like that. So like I just kind of want her to form some kind of like traditions and do things because that's what was always important to me. My dad had traditions and we did all this fun stuff, and he would put cookies out, and he would even broke some lights that were by the chimney one year. It's like, wow, Santa came down the chimney.
Badass, broke.
And I was like super like, no way. And then, so I want to kind of do those things for my daughter and make it really important to her, so she has the same kind of memories that I had.
Tradition's important. I think that's the most important thing. Like, not the emphasis on like the presents and everything, even though they're awesome. But I think tradition is what like makes it so memorable and awesome.
I've always been like the person that's super excited to give the gift more than I've been excited about getting gifts. And it's a problem though, because like with my wife, when I buy her something for like Christmas or a birthday, I really just like want to give it to her, tell her what it is. and I always ruin it. Like literally like 2 or 3 days before, I'm like, okay, I got to give it to you. And like
I'm the same exact way. So my girlfriend's birthday's coming up, and we're going to see Tom Segura.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and he's hilarious.
Yeah.
And we both love her. So what I was like, I'm not gonna tell her. And then it just like I told my mom, I was like, Mom, I got in front of my girlfriend. I got those comedy tickets that I was telling you about. She's like, oh, to Tom Segura, and I was like, yeah, Mom, yeah,
yep, killed it, literally.
So and then also like I'm really frustrated because I wanted to get her. Okay, just a few months back, we moved in the last year and a half, and we've always had a Super Nintendo, and it was on its last leg for quite a while. Like I'm talking like you move that thing and it like rattles. So there's like something going on. Like there's something probably broken in it, but it still worked. So we went to get it out a couple months ago, tried to start it, wouldn't power on, wouldn't do anything. So I kind of just told Jen, I was like, I guess it's done. And then later on in a couple weeks from there, I saw an article that said they're going to release a Super Nintendo Classic, just like the NES Classic, the Nintendo Entertainment System Classic. So in my mind, I'm like, I'm going to get her that for Christmas. Like that's going to be her Christmas gift. And so then I'm I get on Amazon, I set the alert, let me know when this is available to buy, because it was like not in stock or whatever. Didn't get an email, didn't get a message, and now it's sold out. So I want to say fuck Amazon, unless they want to sponsor the podcast, then maybe we'll do something.
We need a new sponsor.
But I just want to say fuck them, because clearly their technology isn't working, because I never got an alert. And then everybody that doesn't give a shit about the actual system bought them up and now wants to sell them for twice the price. So once again, it goes back to, why is everybody sucking the fun out of all of life? Like I just want to enjoy a Super Nintendo, but now they want to charge me to double the price. So
well,
it's not fair.
Also with Amazon, I'll order something and they'll be like, it'll be September, and they'll be like, expect this in November. And I'm just like, what?
Yeah, tricked by China once again.
But if you pay for Amazon Prime, you'll get it tomorrow.
And it's sad because I spend like an ungodly amount on Amazon stuff, and I'm like, no, I'm not getting Prime.
Like you're kind of giving like a middle finger to Amazon. Yeah. Like I'm not gonna.
I have to wait for it to come from a different planet.
Prime Now is a game changer. The app that literally can have it delivered to your desk within like 6 hours. Like,
yeah, I saw this. I saw on Amazon when I was looking at all this stuff. They have buttons that you can literally like. It's just set up to where you run low on your laundry detergent. You press the button and it orders it for you.
Yeah.
Also, fuck Amazon, because
I'm not done. I'm not done. Stand down.
Also, well, you got me going.
Yeah. Oh, I'm good. I like it.
I'll be looking at my Instagram, and this little ad will pop up like I was looking at these shoes on Amazon, and they're like, I don't know what they're doing.
They pay for like ad space on the Amazon and stuff. I know, because then it's like those shoes are haunting you. It's like,
and they show you everything you want.
Oh, they come in red. Like,
just in case you're feeling fancy.
Right? Yeah, the mic because I purchased another mic that's going to be here in a couple of days. Once again, there was with Amazon Prime, you could have this by October 1st, and then there was like the same timeline of shipping, but it was like $56. So it would have like taken my order from like $80 to like $100 and something. And I was like, man, they just really get you with that, because like in my mind, I'm like, man, I pay $99. That pays for itself in 2 orders. Like I
don't know. I'm kind of cool with this karaoke
mic. Real quick, one thing we have to address. Like I totally forgot. One of our followers has been blowing me up about that episode where we talked about cheap vodka.
Yeah.
We're talking about Kamchatka. He's like, he just said, don't you dare talk bad about Apple Skull. And he's actually the one that I first ever had Apple Skull with. He's like, it's a life change. He still drinks it.
I can't get behind flavored alcohol. Like,
I'm sorry,
just not.
Blake.
Yeah, anything that comes in a plastic.
Yeah.
I'm down for the skull.
for the
I just can't do the flavored.
Apple. Oh, I can't
The
do
flavored, man, it just makes me want to throw up thinking about it.
I was just talking
Apple. What
about
about
this.
Apple Crown?
Oh, that's pretty good.
Still gross. Nope.
Do you remember Tattoo? Made by
That was awful. That was like Ed Hardy, wasn't it?
Yes. Bobby Bottle Service.
But I had this very fond memory of it because I remember like, oh, we're gonna get this tattoo. It's this new stuff, and then somebody puked it up, and it was just straight like black.
So gross.
I was like, what's wrong with your
I
insides?
think I've seen that before
like when
as
Four
well.
Logos were killing people.
Oh my god. I think Four Loko was a good drink though. Like I enjoyed it.
It's still like I feel like they completely reformulated it because they didn't want to be sued, but like
Yeah, they didn't want people to die from
they're
it.
still like I feel like they're disgusting, but they just get you drunk. You're just like, oh yeah, I can't wait.
I told this story on Bumming with Bobcat. I was a guest on his podcast, and basically what I used to do was there's a thing that you can do in college where you donate, and you can donate plasma and you can get paid for it. And so what I would do is I would donate my plasma, I'd get like $40, go buy 2 Four Locos, some fast food, go home,
Be ready.
drink both the Four Locos and eat my fast food, and then go out for the night and just not remember most of my night. Like,
Yeah.
and it was just a solid setup. Like I had a lot of good times doing that. It was pretty fun.
My friends were talking last night, and they were like, "Are we going out to black out?" And I'm like, "Who actively tries to black out?" Like I know. And then I like thought back. I'm like, in college, that's always what it was. It was like we should black out tonight. It was like something you anticipated. Like
At least you're just being honest with
yeah,
yourself.
yeah.
Yeah,
But
like-
I'm like I am actively always trying not to do that.
Yeah, they have those alcoholic surveys. Like if you take this like those questions and you answer them, like one of the things is like, have you ever drank more than you intended to? And I always want to say no, because I don't plan how much I'm going to drink. I just go and drink.
Casual.
And so if 5 or 10 turns into 20, that's just the way it works.
It's always been good for me when I've had stuff to do the next day because I'm like, I can only drink this much
Yeah.
and that's it.
Yeah.
But anytime I've been like, I don't have anything to do tomorrow, I get blackout drunk.
Wake up in the dumpster, like
Wake up and the whole front of you is wet. And you're like,
wake up with a cheeseburger in your bed. Like, what? How did you get here? Do we hook up?
One time in Bloomington, I woke up in someone else's car. Like, not even someone I know. Just, I think, like,
I live here now.
my instincts kicked in. And I was like, well, I need warmth. And I just got in a car. And it was in Square Donuts parking lot. And I was like, where am I?
That's great.
My
That's
brother
perfect.
one time said he was walking around college and he was hammered. His friend was behind him. He was like trying to like guide him back to their place, and he just opened up a car door and peed in a car. And I'm like, Sam, you are the devil, and you're gonna have karma from that.
We just talked about that on this Mudcast because
you
I was
really?
blacked out and I whipped a guy's jacket out and laid it out like almost like a blanket on the floor and
We
pissed
talked
on
about
it.
that last time. Yeah, that's the first
Guys
time.
are weird. They
See,
pee like.
this is why Hannah's a terrible co-host because she doesn't even listen. She doesn't even listen to the podcast.
I don't listen to him yet. Like I'm at work, like trying to focus. I actually do listen to Smug Guys and ours. Like
Yeah.
My voice kind of scares me, but
The best part was that you say, I laid it down real nice.
Like, really?
And then just
got the
pissed on
wrinkles
it.
out.
I don't know why. You are right though. Guys
Guys
do
are weird.
shit like
yeah.
that.
It all goes back to like, I'm
They-
telling you, there's something primal in our
Yeah.
heads. Like, I must piss on this.
And you can't be mad though. Like I remember in college, like my roommate had a guy over and he opens our closet door and pees in it and then closes it. I'm like,
Dude, my wife has a friend that I'm good friends with. Same thing. The guy, like, it was a pretty standard practice is he would open the closet door, pee in the closet, or open like drawers, like clothes drawers, and pee on the clothes. Like,
I have a friend named Mike Kelly that went to Greenfield Central. I hope he hears
I'm
this.
glad.
Mike
He
Kelly,
probably
where you
will.
at
I'm
though?
glad Shane's calling him out too. I like it.
I don't give a shit.
He's like cell phone number.
No, but he would just get drunk all the time and piss himself. But like, so we'd be at a party or something. He'd pass out, and we'd all like it'd get closer to the end of the night. And then like this guy, like I remember this specifically one time. This guy just came in the room. He's like, "I think your friend's peeing himself." And they're like, "How do you know? Like how do you?" He's like, "Cause you can hear the pee like trickling down the couch." And we're like, I don't know. I just hope he hears that. That's all I care about.
Oh my God. One of my little sister's friends did it to our TV in our house. And my parents were gone and my sister had a rager and I was there. I was like, what the hell is going on? Like people were jumping off like my parents' roof into the pool. I hope my dad's not listening.
You definitely get to the point in those kind of parties where it's like you're past the point of no return. Like you're like, the house is going to be fucked up.
Yeah, we just need to. The house is totaled. Like
there's nothing I can do.
Get the insurance money.
There's just that one person's house that you always went to. No one necessarily liked them.
But their parents were always out of town.
That existed.
And
they would just break everything.
Yeah.
But this kid
Fuck those
peed
people,
on our
though,
TV.
too. I had those parties and people broke a lot of my stuff.
But almost,
I was that guy.
But almost like, what did you expect?
Exactly.
Oh my God, I get so scared when they have parties. This kid literally went up to our TV and just pissed on it, and I'm like, everyone has to leave. Like now.
Luckily, he didn't shock himself.
Luckily, no. But every time he comes over and I'm like, "Sup, piss pants?" He's like, my parents will be over and he'll be like, "Why'd you call him that?" I'm like, "Don't worry about it."
Don't worry about it. So, did the TV get ruined?
It actually didn't. But,
good.
Yeah.
Good. That's high quality technology.
I try not to get too close to smell it. Right?
It's like waterproof.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That does take me back to being at or hosting parties when I was in high school, and I had actually moved out of my mom and stepdad's house and moved in with my aunt and uncle, and they were out of town a lot because they had a vacation home in Michigan and they also went to Florida a lot. And I would be that guy that would have the parties, and I would say, whatever you do, don't go in their room. What's the first thing that everybody did?
That's like a challenge.
And they and the thing is like the first time it happened, I got caught because they are like, my aunt and uncle are so particular about knowing where stuff is. If something's moved, they know somebody was in their room.
Yeah.
And so the first time I had left the door open, I was like, just don't go in there, leave it alone. And obviously I drank a lot and got, passed out or whatever. So people just start messing with stuff. And they went in there, did whatever they did, and I got caught because they left stuff out or messed stuff up. The next time I had a party, I was like, I'm going to be smart this time. I'm going to lock their door. Somebody figured out and just opened the door with a key or something, or picked the lock or whatever. And I was like, you know what? Fuck you guys. I'm not having people over anymore.
That's weird.
And they ran over a tree, a little baby sapling.
Oh my God! Is this Project X? Is the car in the pool?
I also lost a sand wedge of my uncle's golf clubs because it was raining out and I was hitting golf balls into their pond in the backyard.
Not the sand wedge.
And I swung it really hard to really hit one, and it slipped out of my hands and went flipping out into the water. I still never lived that down because I kept getting asked, "What happened to the sand wedge?" I don't know. Maybe somebody took it. I don't know. I couldn't admit that it was me who did it.
That was always the worst thing, too, is thieves. I swear at parties in high school and stuff, there's always that guy that would just come there and not drink or something and then just steal
stuff
so
just
the guy
to steal
with the
it.
book bag. Why do you have a book bag
exactly.
on? We're not
studying. Or it'd be people who is this guy? Who brought this person? And that's the person that's always stealing shit.
Yeah. It immediately sketches me out when someone would show up with a book bag. I'm like, he needs to go. Him and his book bag go.
And so that also kind of in a roundabout way gets me back to, let me see, I was thinking about this and then I just lost it because the Vantucky Fried guys sent us their sent us their phone number. Damn it. I lost it.
Say resend.
But anyways, yeah.
Resend.
No, I lost what I was getting ready to freaking say. But anyways,
stealing at parties.
Oh yeah, stealing at parties. People just. I feel like there was stuff I was the kind of person that would take stuff. I would take stuff, but it was always something random that I didn't think anybody would notice.
So you're a pirate, or not a pyro.
He is a pirate.
I didn't steal a lot though. I'm trying to remember if
klepto is what I was trying to say.
What the big thing that I like to take, and I got indoctrinated to this in high school, was the yard globes. The people that had the round.
My brother did that. Why? We have tons of them that aren't ours. In our parents' pool area. I'm like, Sam, one day you're gonna have to give these back.
Because they are really fun to. So in the Midwest, anybody listening to this that's not from the Midwest, you guys may not know about this. But mailbox bashing was kind of the thing to do when you were in high school, and go and hit them with bats or I've probably told this on the podcast before, but my ingenious idea was we would stop, get out of the car, knock the mailbox off, then carry the mailbox and throw it at another mailbox. So it was like, you'd get going like 40 or 50 miles an hour, and it would be really cool because it would just like smash, and they'd both like explode, and like it was great.
You're like, we were exhausted the next day.
And another great thing is when it was really, really cold and like at freezing weather, those plastic mailboxes would just shatter into a million pieces. It was so cool.
I used to steal those globes too. What do they call it? Weather globes? What did you say?
They're yard globes is what we call them.
They look like a bubble,
Yep. And they're like shiny.
Colors.
Yeah, throw them at a mailbox too. It's really cool.
You can break those, and it's pretty cool. Yeah.
It's one of those things.
I had one. It was kind of
just girly things.
It was kind of karma, but I had one break in my car when we were stealing them.
That happened to us.
And then
they're fragile. They're thin glass. Like that's,
oh yeah. And then you got...
They all didn't quite fit in my Plymouth Sundance.
Damn it.
Yeah, that happened to us too. And like it shattered in the back seat of somebody's car, and like you had glass in your ass for like the next 3 or 4 weeks.
Sorry, guys.
It's karma.
That's what you get it, and you deserve it. But yeah, I think that doing that kind of stuff when we were kids is like, it's kind of crazy. And like I always kind of censor myself a little bit on the podcast because I know people listen, but I've actually started to just stop worrying about that because it's not going to change anything, and it's going to be more funny and more entertaining if I'm just completely honest about stuff. And I think that
it's our podcast. Oh.
Exactly. For example, the first person that I was ever attracted to that was a celebrity was Pamela Anderson because everybody told me she was hot. So then I wanted to see what she looked like, and I think that shaped my mindset for like the next like 10 years. That's what I thought was hot.
Have to find Pamela Anderson.
And she was when I look back, I'm like she wasn't really that hot. She was kind of gross.
She was like everyone. Yeah, she was what was hot at that time.
That whole hepatitis thing kind of turned me off.
Hepatitis can be a game changer real quick.
Tommy Lee had to ruin that for everybody.
Oh, that was a good one. That's gross. It's kind of like the Chris Brown and herpes. Is it Chris Brown?
No, it's Usher.
Usher, that's right.
I'm sure Chris Brown has it too.
They probably share the same strain.
Yeah, right.
Same strain.
But I wanted to know what your guys' first celebrities that you thought were attractive or that you were attracted to, and why. Because for me, it was Pam Anderson and big boobs. Like, that was it.
I think I thought Ryan Reynolds was really funny. I loved Van Wilder. I thought he was just like the funniest person. Mm-hmm. And that's pretty much why, because he was just hilarious and also hot.
And he was hot.
Yeah, I mean, I'm attracted to Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, don't tell me you wouldn't hit that.
I don't know.
Mine is probably, and this is so lame, but I watched a lot of Seventh Heaven as a kid.
Oh.
And Jessica Biel.
Yes! Okay, I was like,
if
don't
Jen is listening to this, she's going to fucking
Mitchell.
lose her mind because Jen hates,
let that sound just running up the
Jessica
stairs.
Biel.
To this day, Jessica Biel is my number one. She is fine.
Yeah. She's really pretty.
And Jen, like I said, my wife hates her because the only reason she hates her is because she's married to Justin Timberlake. That's literally
so
the
it's
only
like not childish at all.
Yeah, exactly. And
For
Jen,
good reason.
Jen says it's not that, it's more. But I'm like, you can't give me any other reason.
Like, how could you hate her?
She's like, I don't think she's a good actress. And I was like, well, she's been in a lot and she's still around, so she's not terrible. She's doing something right.
I love this is what you guys talk about.
Jessica Biel and Ryan Reynolds were in Blade together.
Oh, I hate Jessica Biel too now.
That's one of my favorite movies. And then that actually like transitions me into thinking the one that I think is a forever always been hot and good and somebody that I am like attracted to is Jennifer Aniston.
Oh, God, yeah. Everyone,
from day
all
one
day.
till now. She's still hot. She's like 50 something and she's still hot.
She's going to be like 80 years old and just still beautiful. And we're like, why?
Well, I don't want to live to the time where Jennifer Aniston's not hot anymore.
Yeah, you want to just go out strong.
Like maybe she just needs to go out in a blaze of glory now and then we don't have to see it get.
She's got a little bit left, I feel like.
Now we're wishing death upon her.
Yeah, so it's funny how this
in a completely selfish way too. Like I just want her to like die so that I can remember as what she is now and never have to see her lose that. That's terrible. I'm sorry. I apologize for that.
I looked her up on Snapchat one time. I was like, if she has a Snapchat, like I want to see her waking up in the morning. I want to know.
Probably
that
still
it's not
flawless.
Oh yeah. It is, and she doesn't have one, by the way, guys. I checked.
Did you guys see? And this is totally random, but did you see Ross rap battle?
Hell no, but I want to now.
It's so awesome. He does it on maybe it's like Jimmy Fallon or one of I think it's what's the guy that comes on at like 2 a.m. with the blonde hair and he's kind of a bigger dude.
He does the carpool karaoke, doesn't he?
He was on there and they had a rap.
Oh, okay, yeah. I know you're
What's
talking
his
about.
name? I get him mixed up with other people.
It's not Craig Ferguson.
Nope.
It's I don't know.
Who cares? We don't care.
But
we don't
anyways,
listen to him.
they rap battle. They rap battle, and Ross it's hilarious.
He kills it.
Yeah,
I bet he
does a
did.
really good job.
He probably put a lot of time and effort into it because he's like, oh, this is my next chance because I haven't been in anything in forever.
Finally.
I just can't picture him as anybody like to me.
Other
he
than
is just
Ross.
Ross.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
Like, what's his name? David Schwimmer.
Yeah,
or something?
Schwimmer.
Yeah.
Terrible name to say
Ross.
if you have a lisp.
Yeah.
Schwimmer.
Gives everyone like a shower. Everyone's in the splash zone just spitting over.
But yeah, so I think we're getting to that time that we're going to be calling into the Vantucky Fried Podcast. So I'm going to go ahead and pause this real quick just so that I can call them.
Okay.
And then I don't know if we want to start recording right away or not, but we'll be right back. Hey, how's it going, guys?
Good, man. How are you?
Good. We're just in the middle of recording our episode, so thanks for having us on yours.
Okay, you just blew my mind.
Podcast Inception.
I've been
Podcast
spending
Inception.
my entire morning like looking at wiring diagrams and stuff. So my thoughts are a little muddled.
No,
this
you're
point, but
fine.
Everything sounding good on that point?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay, killer. So let me fire up the recording on my end.
Yeah,
and
it's crazy how good like iPhones and like just mobile stuff is getting because the phone calls don't sound terrible.
right. It sounds better than Skype.
Yes, it does.
The audio clip I got back from Skype, I was like, man, that's not going to sound good at all.
Yeah, and Skype also, like when we've done it on this podcast, it cuts out a lot if you're like interrupting somebody else, and a phone call doesn't like drop the audio when somebody else is talking.
Wow, that seems like it would be better by now. Because
Yeah.
Skype's been around a long time. So,
Exactly.
Anyway,
In the studio with us, though, we've got Hannah, and then also another gentleman that I think is going to become more of a regular on the podcast. His name is Shane, so they're here as well.
Hi.
well, nice to meet you, Hannah and Shane. And you're not just Hannah. You're
Happy
Hannah.
Hannah.
from Indiana, damn it.
So
You got some cred on our end.
So for some background information, the Vantucky Fried Podcast did a Smile of the Week, and Hannah actually won that award, and they called her Happy Hannah from Indiana.
It's me
I
patenting it.
I like it.
It's pretty good.
So that's her name. So when she's discussed around here, just imagine yourself having that name tag on. And there are very few of them given.
I'm going to put that award on my fridge.
Well, you should. So, well, let's get down to it. I mean, you guys got stuff to do, so let's rock this out, and then you can get back to your Sunday. So,
Sounds good.
Justin, Happy Hannah from Indiana, and I'm sorry, I forgot the third guy's name. Shane.
Yep.
Welcome to my end. Welcome to the Vantucky Fried Podcast from another time zone.
Yeah.
On a Sunday, no
Hooray.
less.
Yeah, we're having like a weird podcast Inception type thing right now because we're actually recording on this end as well.
Sunday
It's
fun.
It's fantastic, and you guys, just so you know, you're on the second or possibly third best podcast in Greater Southwest Washington. So
It's an
you
honor.
got that going for you now.
Yeah.
Let's just get right into it. How was Juice in the Morning born, and how did it get from idea to a reality?
So I've always been like a really big fan of just podcasts in general. I actually started, I think my very first podcast I listened to was Joe Rogan Experience. And a friend of mine that was a roommate was watching it on, he had like hooked his computer up into our TV. So like he was sitting on the couch, had it hooked up to the TV, was watching Joe Rogan Experience on YouTube. And I was like, what the hell is this? Like, what are you watching? And being from Indiana, I'm also a huge fan of Bob and Tom. So like I was always into like radio shows. And as I kind of like grew up, I started drifting a little bit away. Like I still love music, but I've drifted a little bit away from music and got more into like talk radio and podcasts and things like that. So when I saw that Joe Rogan Experience, I was like, that's really cool. And then as soon as I had watched like 3 or 4 episodes, and he goes for like 2 or 3 hours, so you know that 3 or 4 episodes is probably like 12 hours that I watched of podcasting. I was like, I want to do that. And I was like, I got to figure out how to do this. So fast forward about 3 or 4 years, because obviously I procrastinate and I'm lazy, and was not chasing the dream like I wanted to. My mom actually bought me a kit from Amazon.com. It just was the Behringer Podcast Studio kit, and it came with one mic, a little tiny soundboard, and a pair of headphones. The very headphones that Shane is actually rocking right now, and the mic that he's using. So then that basically made me not have any excuses anymore, because my excuse was always, I don't have the money or the time or the equipment to do this, so I'm not going to be able to do it. And then my mom got that for me, and it kind of like just took that excuse away. And so then I had to figure out how I'm going to do this. And from there, it just kind of grew organically. Like literally, I had no idea what I was doing. I felt kind of like Ricky Bobby from Talladega Nights when I first started talking on the mic. Like I didn't know what to even say. Like I felt like what do I do with my hands? Like, and
it's incredibly difficult. Like, and I worked in radio for 15 years, and I was mortified when I uploaded my first file. Mortified.
And the weird thing about it is like I tried to start on my own, so I didn't have like a co-host or a guest or anything like that. So it was really hard to figure out like, how do I even talk to myself? And I wanted to do at least 30 minutes. That's what my goal was, my first couple podcasts. And I found that it was really hard. So then what else helped me a lot was my grandfather has written kind of like his autobiography, kind of memoirs type thing, because he's a really interesting guy. He was on my 50th episode, but he wrote like some stuff out, and I actually used that as like almost like a storytelling mechanism, and it got me comfortable with talking on a microphone and hearing the sound of my own voice.
Which is important. Like once you can get over that hurdle, I think you start moving quicker.
Yeah.
Like once you get over there, like, all right, it doesn't sound like total garbage. I can live with that. Like now I can move forward. And it's tough to get there.
And with Hannah and Shane joining, once again, also an organic thing, I kind of was thinking that I needed more of a female perspective on the podcast, because a lot of the times it was just a bunch of guys just sitting around talking about guy stuff. And I was like, and Hannah is one of those people that I was picturing. First of all, she's one of my best friends from college. We've known each other for a long time. And, I was thinking of like the Bob and Tom model still. Like there's Christy Lee. She can dish out shit just as much as she can take it. And Hannah is one of those people, and she's the first person I thought of. And I just kept bothering her until she decided to do it. So how did it come about for you, Hannah?
You'd always invite me on it, and I was like, yeah, I can do it, but I was like really paranoid. I'm like, I don't know if I can handle my own voice, but
yeah,
went over that hurdle, and now I'm more comfortable with it. It was really awkward at first, though, for sure, but I love it. All my friends always talk to me about it and like ask me questions. I'm like, I don't know what to say.
Plus, it's hard. I lost the thought. And I'm glad, because my dog started barking right when I said that.
Yeah, it adds character.
For sure, right? They just sound like a maniac is about to bust through my window. They just freak out when any car goes down. So you two met in college, as you said. You got that cool dynamic of being a male-female best friend duo. So that's unique and awesome. So you invited her on, which was a brilliant idea. 2 voices and 2 thought processes are always better than one.
Yep.
And you guys, again, having a relationship to go on, I find to be helpful. My co-host is my best friend since 9th grade. So we're like we've just been friends forever.
That's awesome. So
you can get heated or whatever, and it's all going to be fine, and you're going to live to tell about it another day, which is half the battle. Like you're asking her to come in. Hey, man, I got this help. You come help me make my dream come true for free because I can't afford to pay you.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, it's a tough pitch.
I told her we're gonna follow the gender pay lines too, so she's gonna make less than me no matter what. If this podcast starts making money,
I make 50
You're making
cents.
less than free.
A glass ceiling is apparent right now.
And then Shane is actually more recent. He's somebody that I know we've talked about having him on before, and then he came on for the MMA podcast that we did last week. And he just seemed very interested, and I'm always looking for people that are interested in being part of it, because it's definitely something that is not easy to do on your own. So how do you feel about your first couple episodes so far, Shane?
I'm super excited about this. So I'm kind of on the same boat with you. I listen to Joe Rogan, which a lot of people I think do, and a couple other podcasts. like Mark Maron has a podcast when he actually interviewed the president.
Yeah.
And that was super interesting to me. And then I don't know. So I saw these people doing some really cool stuff that I eventually wanted to be a part of, and I kind of texted you, and we were party buddies in college, high school, whatever you want to call it.
Exactly.
And you were, more than welcoming. So I just took the leap, and here I am.
That's awesome.
So we've got a kind of pretty good setup here. So how long have you guys been doing it? The Kentucky,
Vantucky.
Vantucky.
So I started the Vantucky Fried Podcast a year ago, October. So this month is our 1 year anniversary.
Woo.
I helped develop another show with my friend, the Jeff Pierce Show. We got about 30 episodes into that, and I decided that I wanted to go do my own thing.
Yeah.
So I did. I mean, it's like once you get in the groove and like you realize, all right, here's the path that I want to go. It's hard to be a committee at that point. Like,
yeah,
you're
absolutely.
either all on board for a project or you're not. Like, it just doesn't work. Like, so that battle, I just was like, I'm going to clip it and start my own thing.
Well,
so I did, and I'm glad I did.
What I want to give you guys is give props to you is when I've listened to your episodes, you guys have a very well produced podcast.
Absolutely.
So you can definitely see that background that you talked about with the radio.
Well, here's the funny part is I was just a promotions director. Like I did like I would go do like man on the street call in, like live calls and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I never did a radio show, or you know what I mean? Like I was always a support guy or behind the scenes and just did promotions and marketing.
Well, that's really interesting.
Yeah, right. So I started from I watched people. I had an ability to learn a little bit, but I never sat down and like, here's how you do production. So like when I started doing this, I knew what I wanted to hear.
Yeah.
But I had no idea how to get there.
Yeah.
But I knew like I need a voice guy. I know I need a voice guy. So like you start blowing in favors and you go like, hey man, can you talk to Bob, and would he be willing to do something for me? And like if I pay him a few bucks, and then you find this support of like, yeah, just email him. He said he'd do it for free. So like, wow, now I got a national voice guy to like voice my stuff.
See, I need to do some more of that. I need to do some more of that.
Can we get Bob's number?
It's huge. Like the social network is so important with this. Like it's the only way it works. Like the only way that we're doing this right now. I reached out to you guys because I think what you guys are doing is cool. And so I like your passion. You can clearly see it. The thing that struck my eye, I saw a tweet where you were mentioning getting a mic upgrade. And I'm like, all right, I like this way that guy's thinking, because a lot of people get their stuff, they plug it in and go, this is what it is.
Yeah.
And that's that. And you got to grow, man, or otherwise people aren't going to listen to it.
Yeah, and what's funny about that is, like I said, Shane is using the originals that I have, the older mic and the older headphones. And I've never won anything when it comes to like any kind of lottery tickets or anything like that. I'm just a really unlucky person. Like it just never happens for me. And then
we should be a tag team.
And then just recently, I was at a bar, and I always play the pull tabs, even though I never win. I usually put like $10 in, and a pull tab is where you open them and you could potentially win some money. But it's basically like
three horseshoes.
Yeah, it's basically like just throwing your money away or burning it, basically. But anyways, I put in $10 on these 50-cent pull tabs, and I burned through like 9 of them, and I'm like, I'm not going to win anything. This is normal. Then I won a $5, and I was like, cool, $5. I can buy myself a beer here real quick. And then went through a couple more. I hit a $250 one, and I was like, I started shaking, and I know $250 is not that that's not a large sum. But I kind of lost my mind a little bit. I was like, I've never won, and then I won another 2 5s after that one.
That's more money than I've ever won, so I think you're a little more lucky than you think you are.
Yeah. So my immediate first thing was I texted my wife, and I was like, okay, I'm going to give you some of this because we have some house projects. But the rest is I'm going to buy a mic, and I'm going to buy a stand, and I'm going to upgrade the podcast.
I won $25 at the bar. I want to give you that for the house, and then I'm heading over to Guitar Center.
Yeah,
and I'm going to be back.
Exactly.
So I know it's not a huge win, but here's $5.
But you don't want the $25.
That was so nice.
With me to Guitar Center, but I'm trying to be generous here.
Yeah, well, if you knew the dynamic between my wife and I, me giving her about $100 out of that $250 was a drop in the bucket for what I've put her through.
Yeah, Jen's a saint, actually.
You bring me to an interesting point, because that's one of the questions I have on my docket. I personally have found support where I least expected it. Back to the Bob Brooks scenario, things like that. And I haven't found it in places where I thought it would be guaranteed.
Yeah.
So is that the same for you? And then
Absolutely.
parlay that into supportive family and spouses.
Yeah.
Yay or nay?
So my wife is awesome. She puts up, like, she doesn't want to ever be on the podcast. She downloads the podcast. I don't think she ever listens, but she at least gives me that download, which is what I'm looking for. She definitely supports everything, but she also tells me every time that our normal financial responsibilities take precedence over anything that I want to pay for the podcast.
Absolutely.
So she's very supportive, but she's also she's smart. Like, she's the kind of person, she keeps me
Fair
grounded.
logic.
She keeps me
Hard to argue
grounded
with that.
because I am the kind of person that, like, I'm the dreamer. I want to, like, do everything. I want to spend.
reels you in for sure.
I want to spend everything. I want to spend all my money on equipment. I want to have, like, a professional studio in my house, that kind of thing. And she kind of reels me in, and that's why, I hung up blankets for my soundproofing instead of buying a bunch of sound foam and stuff like that. But then,
I kind of go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was just going to say, I kind of like the string it together angle of the podcast.
Yeah.
And that's another element of the podcast. Like, you build it from nothing.
Yeah.
And I love that. Like, so I found a 1970s two-tone brown restaurant booth from a Chinese restaurant.
That's awesome.
The highway a ways, and I'm like, all right, I needed a big table. I wanted a, like, diner type of setup.
That's super cool.
It's really cool.
And I'm like, I'm gonna build that in the garage, and then that kind of, you start looking at it again, and then I had 2 boxes of crap up in my garage that was all of, like, my decor that I would keep in my cubicle at the radio station and stuff. So, like, and then I found old tickets and laminates and stuff like that, and I'm like, well, I want to make this look like every club green room I've ever been in. Like,
yeah, that's
so
awesome.
I went to Home Depot, bought some plywood sheets, and, like, now when you look at the camera shot, like, it's all just posters and memorabilia and my two-tone brown restaurant booth, the mic set up, and, like, it looks legit. And it's all just cobbled together stuff that is on a whim. Like, there was no plan. Like, it all just kind of came together with what I had on hand.
But then it flows and it looks good.
Yeah, I got this weird deal where, like, I like to convert stuff I already have, and, like, all right, well, what can I flip to sell and update my stuff? Like, how do I get a better mixer? How do I get better microphones and stuff like that? And I've been very fortunate with that. Like, I've taken very little out of, like, our household budget for this project, and I'm proud of that.
Yeah.
I also was able to flip it, and I got myself a Coke machine to plug in out here.
I love that.
Set to a nickel. You know what I mean? Like, it's for real.
Baller on a budget.
We're taking this shit serious.
I love it.
You cross through that door, it's business time.
Yep, absolutely.
So, and I like that. So what's your setup like at your house?
So we're using a kitchen table that my wife's dad built, actually, by hand, and my wife didn't want to get
a good job.
Oh yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah. Good. Quality craftsmanship.
Yep, absolutely. And I'm going to be tasking him with helping me build an actual custom desk that I can plug stuff into on the top and the bottom and everything like that, because these guys from the Smugcast are doing it really big, and they've got a custom desk, and it's really streamlined and smooth. So I'm trying to get on their level.
We're trying to keep up.
But
the fact that you're trying to move forward is a huge statement, man.
And I think with Hannah, like, when you talked about, like, the support and stuff like that from people around you, she's had a lot of, like, really good support from people. So, like, kind of tell us some of the stuff that you've heard from people.
Well, I think we have, like, 2 different angles of friends, and they both bring, like, something to it. Like, we just have a very different, like, or a diverse, like, following.
Yeah.
And people are always giving us feedback. Like, I love this. You guys should do more of this. Like, I have, like, tell people at work, especially, I'm like, feedback. I need to hear a bunch, because we are trying to just, sky's the limit, really. So I feel like I get a lot of feedback, and it's awesome.
Yeah. And I always try to like take every amount of feedback with a grain of salt. Like, even the positive stuff, I'm like, maybe they're just being positive because they just want to be nice. And then even the negative, I'm like, some of the stuff that's been said, that there's been, like, one negative thing, and I kind of think that the person's perspective is different than ours. So we're just going to go ahead and say, we don't really care about that. I appreciate your response, and maybe we'll try to change it up a little bit. But for the most part, we're going to just keep doing what we're doing.
And we love it because, I mean, it's our show. Like, at the end of the day, we want it. We have fun on it. We like our topics.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we love hearing what people like more of or what they like.
Exactly.
That's great. But at the same time, we have a vision of what we want as our show, and we want to keep doing that.
2 points on that. 97% of the people that are coming up and offering that advice couldn't sit down in the chair and do a better job.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
So we'll get that out of the way first and foremost.
Yeah.
Second of all, it's reps and wheel time, man. You got to do it. You got to get out there and you got to talk in front of that microphone. You got to get used to your voice in that microphone. You got to get used to not cutting each other off and like all these stupid little details that aren't part of like growing up in our dialogue.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So like you're trying to conduct a thing and like still be a part of a conversation and work some buttons over here and try and weave this into that thing. And it's easy to mess up or say a word wrong or whatever, or maybe people don't like the content, but dude, you come up with 5 topics a week that you think is going to please everybody.
Well, with anything,
it's not going to happen.
With anything, I feel like people don't understand how much goes into, like, they don't even take the time to consider how much goes into making this happen.
And also just the thought of, do you understand how uncomfortable it is to be sitting with a mic in front of your face and like have somebody ask you a question and you think of an answer, and you would think every podcast you listen to sounds so conversational, but it's because people have been doing this forever.
Yeah.
So they can have a normal conversation. As soon as you put a mic in somebody's face and you ask them something, it puts them on the spot, and then you get a ton of like, I don't know, like, and it happened to me. It happened to everybody that I've ever been around that is friends of mine that want to do it. The first one always takes a few minutes to get kind of rolling. Yeah. And then once you get in that habit, it just becomes very easy.
Well, it helps just talking about stuff that you enjoy talking about.
Yeah,
exactly.
With people you enjoy talking to.
Exactly.
You're definitely outside your comfort zone, but it's like a good like step out, I feel like.
Yeah.
For sure.
I just start filling volcano bags until everybody gets comfortable. And then just eat right on it.
I haven't done that I haven't smoked one of those since a music festival, and I lost my mind when I did that.
Now I can just see you at a music festival with like.
What is it?
It's a volcano bag. So I'll let this guy explain it because I will not do it justice.
It's simply a scientific vaporizing method that you can burn your herb with.
The pots.
And, well, it could be.
I think I've seen it in Super High Me, or what is it?
Super High Me.
No, there's one where he's instead of super size. He just smokes a bunch of pot, but he does it with a vaporizer. I just didn't realize it was.
Isn't that like in Vancouver that he does that?
I don't. It's very possible.
Probably he was just here like a week ago.
Yeah, Doug Benson.
Hung out at your house.
He has the best job in the world. He just goes places and gets really high, and then just talks about weird shit.
Yeah, I love it. I feel like that's what I do for free.
He's got the West Coast where it's legal on the entire West Coast, so he can just do whatever, book shows wherever, and doesn't have to worry about it.
Him and Joe Rogan.
Yeah. So go ahead.
Let's get back to where we were getting derailed by questions here. I get asked a lot about my chicken bucket logo, which I'm incredibly fond of. But the number one question is, after people ask me what the hell Vantucky is aren't you worried about getting sued by KFC? So O.J. Simpson's out of jail today. Are you worried about getting a cease and desist about the juice?
The juice is on the loose.
Using the juice in your logo.
The goose is loose.
I don't know. I think with Juice in the Morning, I think a lot of people that don't listen to the podcast always want to ask me what my favorite juice is, and I always tell them, well, it's usually orange juice and vodka, but then I keep it moving and I say, well, the juice name it's not a drink, it's kind of like an alter ego for me. So I know that a lot of people have that nickname, but I kind of just ran with it. And I also, going back to the history of the podcast, like I couldn't think of anything clever, and I thought Juice in the Morning sounded good.
Love it.
Well, write it, man. Once you pick the one that you can hear and you like, it looks good on stuff, you just gotta commit to it and go. Vantucky, for those that aren't from around here, Portland, Oregon's the hip town, right? Vancouver is the town that people look down upon. We're across the river.
Oh, okay.
We're not Oregon. We're the Jersey. You know what I mean? That kind of thing.
So you guys all have spray
country.
tans?
Like, we were the bumpkins to the north of Portland that didn't do anything. Like, we still ride horses up here, and it's we don't even drive cars. Like it's the olden days once you cross that bridge. So Vantucky, we're like the hillbillies of the north. So I wanted to like celebrate that. Go like, you know what? We are not Portland. So here we go. We're going to show you what's up, and we're going to be the better show. Not from Portland, so suck it, right?
Yeah, and you guys have a huge like podcast creating like. That's like a big area for that out where you're at, right? Because there's like, wasn't Serial and like all of those things based out of like the Pacific Northwest, I think is what it's called?
Well, everything is moving to Portland, it seems like, or it has been in the last 5 to 10 years, a wave of coming in and coming out. I mean, we've had 4 or 5 different TV shows, a couple of movies. A lot of musicians have moved here. There's a lot of the arts have come up here. So I don't recall Serial being a Northwest show, but I may be wrong on that. I don't know. It's just growing. I think it's growing everywhere. People are realizing that there's money to be made at this medium. Yeah. And so if you've got some finances behind you and you can just start pumping out product that's quality, gosh, you can start making money almost immediately. Yeah, something that's kind of been my dream is I've listened to a couple of podcasts that are like kind of like almost like entertainment, like TV. Basically, they come across as a kind of like a story, like you're watching a TV show, but you're listening to the podcast. And kind of like my dream is to one day do just like a season of that, like, and just like kind of write it out, have some actors and people come in and play certain parts and stuff. That's kind of like something I'm kind of dreaming of doing now. Not even close to even doing that, but it's something that I'm looking forward to. So what is your end game? Do you want a network? Do you want to just have a successful weekly show? Do you want to have a legit daily morning show? Where are you heading? My end game, I think that, because I love that question because I ask that to everybody that I've interviewed that is in like any kind of creative medium. But my end game that I think I'm wanting to do here in the Midwest and then see where it goes from there is I want to get everybody together that is into creating stuff. So like Hannah meets somebody that's into whatever they're doing, video work, photography, whatever. And then we kind of work together and build kind of like, I think a network is kind of what I'm looking at, because we've already started building like relationships with the Smugcast. There's these guys from Cincinnati called Pointless Discussions podcast. They're great guys. They're actually inviting us to do a live show here in the next couple of months. And it's just, I want to build that Midwest feel, and I also want to build that Midwest community, and also kind of like rely on each other to build the brand together. And
that's how it works, man.
And Juice in the Morning is just going to be part of that. I don't know where, there's going to be somebody more creative than me that's going to come up with a way to like describe this as a network. But I think we are kind of working towards that. I think the more that we go out and talk to everybody and keep doing the show, keep interviewing people, we're gonna grow that audience and grow that network of people that just want to be creative. I just want people to be creative, and I want to work with people that do that.
You got to plant your flag and go. You know what I mean? For me, I kind of wanted to bring my Facebook page to life. You get tired of people telling you, you're funny, you should be on the radio. How come you're not on the radio? And, after a while, like, it starts to burn your ass a little bit. You're like, well, if I'm so funny, like I was on the launch pad for a decade, like you think somebody would have pulled the trigger. But, you find out that it's not skill, it's timing. It doesn't always work out. It has nothing to do with your abilities or whatever. And you find out that you are capable of doing it. So you just got to go. I wanted to have a weekly hour that would take people out of the norm. You know what I mean? Like, because it's just nothing but negative bullshit now. Like,
absolutely.
I want to make people laugh a little bit. I want to talk about nonsense, and I want to celebrate like growing up in the 80s and pop culture and like all the stuff that I loved that made me happy. That was just easy, no big deal stuff.
And that's
collector glasses from McDonald's. You know what I mean? The little thrills in life.
It is so crazy that you're bringing that up, because prior to us talking on this, Shane and I and Hannah and I were talking about the fact that the joy is being sucked out of almost everything in our life right now. Like almost
there's nothing to it, man.
Everything.
It drives me nuts. It drives me nuts. And so I just took my daughter to a vintage toy show yesterday so we could go and poke around at all that. And being a good kid, raised right, looks at me, Dad, there's a Karate Kid brand new in the package over there. You should go get it. So I did.
So my daughter, actually, she's 3 years old, and I have her playing with Spider-Man, Ninja Turtles that were all mine when I was a
That's
child,
so
and I
good.
still have all these toys. And my mom told me for years, hang on to them, and I could not be more glad that I hung on to all those toys because she will know who the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are.
Mom didn't raise no bitch.
You got to find a way. You got to find a way to keep it alive. There's
Yeah.
no two ways about it. So, like I said, so that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to like create my life, and then it's an opportunity to like showcase myself and be who I want to be, and create this time capsule for my kids. Well, they'll just have all this audio to go back and listen to if they care to down the road, and they're going to learn a lot about their dad. They're going to learn through conversations of me with my family and my friends and whoever else, like stuff that I was passionate about. It's a timestamp on like modern history, you know, all this crap that's going on now. Like I think it's going to be important when it's all said and done. And the fact that it's starting to get a little bit of an audience, well, that's just a bonus. Like it started out as a thing that I wanted to have for my kids.
Man, we are kindred spirits, because I've even talked about this on my podcast about.
I'm starting to think you're ripping me off, bro.
We listen to yours and then we
we just
everything.
steal everything. Because I've talked about it on my show, is the fact that I look at this as the exact same thing. Like I'm leaving a legacy, and like I've told people this a million times. My biggest fear is that when I die, I won't be remembered. Like that's like it's such a irrational fear, but it is a fear that I have. And having this exist on the internet, it could theoretically live on forever.
Immortalized.
Absolutely, it will. You know, I mean, and that's what I love about it. And like I said, the fact that people enjoy listening to it and are complimentary. Coming from radio, it's a cutthroat deal, man. And I fully expected, like, I expected to get slayed by now. And just people like just telling me how bad I am, and it hasn't happened yet. And I'm like, eventually, that guy's going to come through, but it's probably not going to be somebody that I know at this point, because that would have happened by now. Do you have negative? I don't want to use the word troll because that's, you know, whatever, but do you have people being straight up dicks to you guys, or have you been fairly treated nicely on the internet by strangers?
To be honest, everybody's been very, very nice and helpful. There's been a couple, like there is a really big popular podcast in the Indianapolis area right now, and it's hosted by some people that I think that their podcast, honestly, the content isn't necessarily the greatest, but they have such a large following from all of the other things that they've done that I want to be, honestly, I want to be a part of it, because, you know, they are funny, they are entertaining, but I think that sometimes I've felt like I've had shows that are better than theirs, and and they always talk about how they want to be all about Indianapolis. They want to do this. They want to do that. And I've contacted them multiple times to try to be on the show, and they just kind of always just kind of flake off. They don't tell me anything. They like, I've heard them actually talk about me specifically on their podcast, but not
competition's a funny thing.
But not mention my name and not mention anything like to support me at all. And they've kind of said like, well, you know, he doesn't follow us on Twitter or Facebook, so why would we even respond to him? So that's the only thing that I think is negative, but that's because they're on a whole nother level. Like, for example, they put out an episode, they'll probably get like 200,000 or 300,000 downloads in their episode, and I'm lucky to get a couple thousand for an episode. So it's definitely just a different level, and they're doing it, and that's what I want to be. That's what I want to be doing.
You're at 79 episodes, 78 episodes.
Yep. And
you said 2,000 downloads a week.
Roughly.
Did I get that right?
Yeah.
So that's incredible. I do about 10% of that. If we're all being honest and just talking numbers.
Well, yeah, and the thing is I like I said, it's really compounded in the last year or so, because I've basically my New Year's resolution was I'm going to do one episode a week for the whole year. And I'm not going to get away from that. If I have to, I'm gonna record a couple so that I can post one if I'm like out of town or something like that. And the consistency is what's gotten that, I think, those numbers up. And then also having awesome people like Hannah and Shane on and them sharing it with their friends. And another thing that I just realized is I never wanted to be the guy bothering my friends and family, but I've started texting everybody and being like, hey, download the episode, share it. And it's actually jumped things up a lot just by every week I'm texting my entire phone book saying, hey, share this and download it, please, because it really helps.
It's my Achilles heel. I've been promoting other people's stuff for years and years, and I have a hell of a time promoting my own thing.
Yeah.
So it's just my insecurity and not really going full throttle. And I get all that. Dude, I just got on Twitter 2 months ago, and I'm coming up on a year. So that tells you exactly how wild I was about throwing it out to the masses. I started out on Facebook, and I'm like, all right, I'll just kind of poke along here for a little bit. And then it was the most ridiculous idea I probably could have ever had, because Twitter's been the best thing I've ever encountered in regards to support and shareability. And, when you see your logo going out to 18,000 people or whatever over a week, you go, I'm down with that. Like,
it's so fantastic. Insane. It's so insane.
And, part of you goes, how do I give back? And that's what I want to do. I want to be a part of the thing. I want everybody to win. And I want to win too.
Yep.
So I'm amazed by 4,000 followers and whatever. I was happy to get 200 a week. I started out at 100, and I go, all right, if I doubled it at 40, well, then I'm just going to keep on that plane, and it's going to get better and better. And frankly, those first few episodes, I'm fine people not hearing anyway. So,
yeah, exactly.
If we just started now moving forward, I'd feel a lot better about it. So
yeah,
I feel like I've come a long way in my 48 episodes or whatever it's been.
Yeah, I just had a guy talk to me at my work because I had told him about the show, and he came into my work a couple days later and was like, yeah, episode 30, you were talking about this, and he was bringing things up that I had no idea what I had talked about, and I was like, I don't even know. I hope that I didn't say something that you did, you were going to disagree with me on, because I don't even have an argument for you right now. And it's hilarious to think about, I started at 2 and now I'm up to 48. And I'm like, man, just wait. It gets a lot better. I promise. It sucked for a long time.
Yeah. I've really, for a guy that's tends to get down on himself easy, I've been frankly surprised at how much I can disassociate with numbers and stats and whatever. I genuinely don't care right now. I know that right now doesn't matter. Right now is my time to settle in, get my sea legs, figure it out, and really hone what I'm doing. So it's just easy to get people to do it. It's easy to get people to be a part of it. It's easy to hopefully get somebody to give me money for it. And so right now I'm just I just want to just keep chewing and get my teeth nice and sharp, and then go and kick some real ass.
And you definitely will. And you guys, now that you have had us on your show, it's what I tell everybody that I've ever had on my show that's in the creative medium. I'm going to share everything. I'm going to like everything. I'm going to support everything that you put out. I do listen to a lot of podcasts. I do listen to a lot of stuff. I may not listen to everything right away, but I will listen to it, and I will comment and, interact, because that's all I want from everybody else that listens to my stuff is I want you to interact with me and tell me what you hated about it, what you liked about it, so that we can, create that. Almost in itself creates your own content for you, because you're sitting there arguing with somebody about how they didn't like this part of your show.
Absolutely. No, it is amazing how parallel our thought process is from a creative level. I think that's a neat thing, and it's a kind of a unique surprise, to be honest with you. So, what do you do when you're not podcasting?
I work for, I never say the company name because I don't want to get in trouble.
That's fine.
My boss actually listens to the podcast, so I try to keep work out of it. But for just to give just a basic overview, I'm an assistant manager at a production facility. So
assistant to the regional manager.
Hannah always tells me I'm the assistant to the regional manager.
Mr. Schrute.
Yeah. Just call call me Mr.
Hey,
Shrew.
Mr. Butler.
And Hannah, you're in sales.
Yes, I sell advertising.
She's
Your tweets.
I'm like the most
Entertainment.
aggressive salesperson ever.
Because you're the ultimate salesperson. Like you're every salesperson that ever worked. You're either hungover or closing the deal.
Yeah.
I like that.
Sometimes
that,
both. Like,
I'm saving that clip, and that's gonna be the,
That's the one
promo
for the
clip.
week.
Yep. You're either hungover or you're closing a deal. That's perfect.
And there's no gray area in sales.
That's
like
perfect.
it's either down or up.
Yep, down or up.
And
Usually
you're
up.
either out celebrating or you're or not. And that's every sales guy I've ever worked with.
That's
I
awesome.
love it.
Let's see. Where am I at on my line of questioning here? So, God dang, I lost it.
But yeah, and
How
Shane,
professional I am.
and Shane over here, tell him what you do.
I'm a bit of a salesman.
Yeah, exactly.
But instead of
selling yourself,
selling advertisements, I sell
His body.
Waffle fries. No, I'm just kidding.
They're actually the best waffle fries.
Yeah, so I work at Scotty's Brew House on 96th Street in Indianapolis.
don't give them free advertising.
Yeah, believe me, I'm all about sticking it to
Come
the
in
man.
and tip Shane.
No, honestly, all my tables, I'm just like, this place is a shithole. I don't know why you're here. No, I'm just kidding.
But I'm here.
I'm like, don't get this.
Serving's
No,
the
I'm just
best though.
kidding.
That paid for everything until
Yeah,
this
exactly.
year for me.
So I'm
The salty, honest server.
Yeah, no, I will sometimes be honest with the people because they appreciate that.
Yeah.
People appreciate honesty, and if it's not something that I think is good, I'm just going to tell them.
I've definitely worked in that industry, and I feel like it is a form of sales because you're selling your abilities
they
to
eat
people.
that up too
Well,
in
it's
like a sale when you
up-
apply
up-
for sales jobs.
It's upselling
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
So it's like, I mean, like, yeah, get this, but maybe also get this. Or
Yeah.
and it is a brew house, so they have all these
This
different kinds
pairs
of
well.
beers and all that kind of stuff. So I just kind of tell people the truth, and I'm a full-time student, so that
Yeah.
kind of helps me have a
Where are you
flexible
going?
schedule.
Flexible schedule.
Where are you going to school?
I go to Ivy Tech.
Oh, cool.
but
What are
I'm
you going to school for?
Respiratory care.
Oh, cool.
I'm going back to school. Actually,
That's hard. Like, in my job, I can make all the mistakes and no one dies. But
Well, I told my girlfriend all this. She's a nurse, and she's always dealing with like poops and dicks, and, and I'm just like above the waist for me. I'm not wiping nobody's ass.
keeping it above.
And how old are you guys?
I just turned 30 this year.
I'm 26.
I am 28.
26, 28, and 30. Well, dude, I just rallied into the 40 club, man. So it's a whole new world for me. But while we're talking sales, that brings to an interesting point. What's up? You have a sponsor that you intro at the beginning of your show.
Yeah.
Do you go out and sell your show to people? Do you go pitch it? Do you look for some local sponsors? What's your story on that?
We're just starting to really.
Yeah,
We
never
haven't
too
sold it
hungover. Actually, they had a promo code for the month of September. We were going to see how it went, and they don't have an affiliate program started yet, so they weren't going to be paying. They were going to be paying in product. So we're working on that. I haven't even contacted them to see if anybody's really taking a interest in buying that. But the thing that I wanted to do, and I actually have just talked to some friends and stuff like this, I want to start going to some local businesses that I am a patron of and just telling them, hey, can I do a spot for you? And it's not going to cost you anything. I just want to use it as something to kind of give myself a more official sound. And then also, if it drives business to you, we can stay in communication about this. And then if you want to do something extra special, like for example, I'm actually tomorrow going to get my hair cut at a barbershop that's here in Indianapolis. And I'm going to talk to the owner if he's in, and if he's not in, I'm going to get his phone number. But I'm going to talk to him about doing an ad for him, seeing if he wants to give our listeners like $1 or $2 off a haircut, and then that can be like a standard ad that I give him every week. And then if it starts to build something for him, which I know this is based all off of honor and honesty, but if it does build business for him, then we can maybe sit back down and talk about how this could progress.
We just can't sell it short though. I feel like you always are like whenever you like we're getting
and I do sell myself short.
You always do that. But
Hannah's the one that
like I'll go in with you. Hey,
Hannah's the bulldog.
Yeah.
So I think it's smart. Like I started with product sponsors too, and I think that's a great way to start because you're building a community. My whole thing is build a community. I want to get Vancouver out there. I want Vancouver businesses to get out there. I want to go and visit these guys. I want to drop in with my portable recorder and pop in and talk to the dude at the comic book shop that owns the movie theater.
Yeah.
And because it's like the last of the downtown Main Street, like it's just that stuff's going away. So I want to talk to those people. And,
I definitely need
showcase
Hannah in my corner to choke the life out of these people so they give
Like,
me
this
some
is
money.
our reach.
you go.
We're expanding every week. What have you got to lose?
Exactly.
$1
I
or 2
saw-
here.
I saw an article in the newspaper one day, and a new coffee shop was going into downtown Vancouver, and I'm a huge coffee fan. And so I was like, wow, that guy's young. He knows what a podcast is, I'm sure. And he was a new business, and I rolled in there to buy some coffee and struck up a conversation with him because it was the same dude that was in the newspaper. And I'm like, same guy. I was like, hey, man, my name's Casey. I do this podcast here in town, and give it a listen, see what you think, and if you like it, I think we should team up and do some stuff.
All right. Well, I'm going to take that advice that you just gave me inadvertently, and I'm going to use it and say the exact same thing to this guy tomorrow. So hopefully he doesn't listen to this podcast and see that I was going to give him something for free.
It gets better. It gets better. Check it out. So then he goes, well, cool, man. I'll give it a listen, and we'll go from there. So I buy my coffee, and away I go, getting back into my car thinking there's no way in hell he's even going to listen to it, and that's going to be that. And so he told me to come back on Friday. And so I came back on that Friday. I got 2 steps inside the door. He lifted his head up from making the coffee. He looked at me, and he goes, Casey, I'm in. I listened to the show. I think it's great. We should do something.
Awesome.
Email me. Let's set up a time. Figure it out. And so that's what I did. So, if I need a pound of coffee, if I need a place to go, if I need a brick and mortar to set up something at, if I want to put my own coffee out, I have that ability now.
That's awesome.
And it was all based on me swallowing my pride and going, I'm going to go in and be proud of what I'm doing for a minute and see what happens. And it turned out to be a great thing. And so I started promoting Relevant Coffee on the podcast. And then my friend Kelby, who's got Cronin Building Co. and a TV show on HGTV now, he calls me up and says, hey, dude, what's up with this sponsorship? And I was like, yeah, pretty cool, huh? And he goes, why isn't it me? I didn't know there was a sponsorship opportunity. And I was like, if you want to be a sponsor, you're a sponsor. Like, you should have just said so. I'm not going to ask you for any money or anything.
Yeah.
And so started promoting him. And that's great. He's a former radio sales guy too, which is
nice.
Fun. And so, but like I had a roof repair that needed to be done over my sunroom. He sent 2 of his dudes out, fixed it for nothing. Like, I mean, he's like, I want to make that's my sponsorship payment to you. Thank you for supporting my show. And he sent 2 dudes up and re-roofed part of my house.
That's what I'm looking for, and that's what I'm looking for in the
great,
Midwest.
It's a great opportunity.
And I need Hannah to reel me in so that I'm not.
Really. So it's a great opportunity. We're thinking about advertising.
Yeah.
It's not gimme. It's let's do this thing.
Yeah.
Let's make it happen.
Be a part of it. Like,
yeah.
It's not all for me. Like, it's for us. It's for our community. It's like to reestablish that, like, it takes a village mentality that we're getting away from. Like, I just want to reinforce community. I want to be able to have an audience one day that's big enough to where I can go, all right, next month we're having this deal. We're going to have a big wing ding, and everybody's going to bring food, and it's all going to go to this thing. And
I've never been to a wing ding.
Oh, dude, you're on the list. Plus
now
one.
I want wings.
All right.
I hate
I'm gonna bring the whole crew.
Because that's my plan. I want to do every year. My hope is to do it around Christmas time, but like a variety show. Do a live podcast, have some comedians, have some bands, have a great time. All local. You know what I mean? All
Sounds
people
awesome.
From our community, and not because I want to make money, because I want to generate a shitload of food to give somebody.
Yeah, that's
give
awesome.
To the food bank, because I want to pay for kids' hot lunches or whatever it is. Whatever what a squabble is going on, let's just come in, have some fun, and pay for it.
Sweet.
Period. And not have I don't care about getting rich. I don't care about being famous. I want to have a good time, and I want people to get behind it, and hopefully the rest of that stuff falls into place, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I feel if our heart's in the right place, and you use your skill and your ability to try and create, it's going to pay back, man. It already is. Like, look, we're on the phone. We're total strangers 2 weeks ago, and think about how many people are going to hear this conversation. It's unreal, right?
Yeah. I'm going to start just texting you on a regular basis and asking questions about the business opportunities that you've done, because that's something that I've wanted to do. Everything you described is stuff that I want to do. I've just never known how to go about doing it.
from the most insecure guy, at least on the West Coast, believe in what you're doing. And if you believe in what you're doing, other people will believe in it too.
Nice.
And as soon as I started like going, you know what, this it's catching on, and it's undeniable. Like when the numbers are going up and never down, and when people that you haven't talked to in 5 years are now kind of giving you a little bit of action on social media or whatever, or just straight up call you and go, dude, I just heard your podcast. This is fantastic. When did you start doing that? Or 7 months down the road, somebody finally accepts that friend request from your show. And you're like, what? I mean, what and how? And then like you start getting tripped up on that stuff and you go, all right, I just got to let that go and not care anymore. Because at the end of the day, it's bigger than the people that I know. I want people that I don't know enjoying it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I'm not selling Cutco knives. Like, I don't want to work through my family.
That exists out there too.
Yeah, for sure, right? I just genuinely, and I feel really strongly about it. Like, I can see on a very micro level that it works.
Yeah.
And so you go, all right, dude, all I got to do is figure out how do I widen the net? And if you can widen the net, it's a winner. There's no question about that anymore. So I feel good. My confidence is getting better, and I feel good. And to circle back on the support situation, my wife not only downloads every episode, but rides my ass if I don't have a new one up on time, because she likes to listen to them.
Good. That's
Aww.
good.
On that front, I'm very lucky to have somebody that gets it and gets that it's part of what makes me tick, and without it I'd be miserable. So it's a huge blessing, and you know, it's fun to get a Father's Day gift that is your logo that my daughter painted on
that's awesome,
like a wood oval thing.
Hell yeah.
I should take a picture of it and post it.
Absolutely.
But yeah, it's been fun.
Yes, thanks for having us on.
For sure, and not like ride your guys' coattails or whatever, but like I just want to celebrate it. I love your go get 'emness and your hustle, and people need to know that and realize that that's not everybody's not working it that hard.
Yeah,
everybody's not trying to go, how do I make this so people will listen to it and not regret it.
And
you know
I also want to say to anybody that has asked me to be on their show or be on my show, and I've flaked off because I haven't been paying attention to my Twitter or paying attention to my email or something, I apologize. But you as a person, you were contacting me, you stayed in touch. I'm really good about responding. If it's something that happens while I'm at work, I miss it. But like for you guys, you definitely messaged me at the right time. So it might just be
or message me, get my phone number. Like,
it might be a geographic
slide into
thing.
my DMs, ask for my phone number.
Exactly.
Look, man, I think we're kindred spirits a little bit. I think I randomly picked your show,
and I think that's crazy. It's crazy how that works. And I'm going to stay in touch with you, and we'll work some stuff out, because I've never been to the West Coast, and I plan on doing it someday. So maybe I can drag these two out with me.
I've never been to Indiana, so it would be fun to do a double whammy.
Absolutely.
But yeah, man, what are we at? 50 minutes here. I'm sure you guys got stuff to get to. You got any questions for me? Is there anything I can answer for you? I
think it kind of went pretty organically. We kind of asked our stuff as we talked. I just want your listeners to know that they can find the show on Apple Podcasts at Juice in the Morning, and then you can find Hannah on all social media at Crave Hannah.
Crave Hannah.
And you can find Shane where?
Shane _ and URIAH on just really Instagram.
Shane Uriah.
And you can find us at VantuckyFriedPodcast.com. We're available at Apple Podcasts. You can also find us as part of the Geeks Worldwide Radio Network. We're hosted there. And so you can find us at thegww.com as well, which has been a huge blessing for us. That's something I wanted to actually mention. Getting brought into a network has been a huge coup for us.
Yeah.
It got us in front of a whole new group of people, not necessarily we're just outside the wheelhouse of it a little bit, but just enough that it works. And that's been awesome. So I don't know if an opportunity like that is available and around for you.
Yeah.
But if it is, I strongly recommend it, because it's just this. People go, oh, you got that shirt on? Cool. High five. Let's get to it. We're going to start retweeting your stuff.
Yeah, and that's what we're working on here in the Greenwood, Indianapolis area is building that kind of network ourselves. So we're that's a very ambitious, but we're going after it.
Well, yeah, it's cool, and it's been a huge blessing for us. So it kind of got us to go, oh, well, that's actually a real deal. And it put us on SoundCloud, which was another way for people to get to it. And it gives us another, 40 people a week or whatever listening that weren't there before, which is awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I'm all about it. So that's awesome. I appreciate you guys genuinely for taking the time. And it's nice Hannah, you're the first Smile winner to be a guest as well. So you want to double us down. And,
I think Shane is a good nomination for next week's Smile winner.
I nominate Shane.
and before we wrap it up completely here, I also want to officially declare you guys as our Midwest ambassadors of the Vantucky Fried Podcast.
Yes.
So there's no reason why you shouldn't be that. And you may or may not have seen, we gave away our first prize pack over the last week. And look, man, no response from the winner. So I sent 2 messages and I said, look, it's here, it's yours. There's no strings attached, no funny business, no flim flams, and still nothing. So I'm going to send it to you guys. So I'm going to send you a pound of the coffee that I told you about from Mitch down at Relevant Coffee in Uptown Vancouver. So look at his website, relevantcoffee.com, and pick out what coffee is currently there now that you want, and I'll pick it up and get it sent. Awesome. And then I've got a live edge cutting board from our bros over at Cronin Building Co. They've got a gift shop as well on their website. They make some sweet cutting boards and custom knives with knife handles and wooden stuff.
Oh yeah,
fun.
Woodwork and stuff. So I got a cutting board. I'll throw in and send that to you in a first edition Vantucky Fried Podcast T-shirt. So,
thank you so much, Casey. And as soon as I get some more shirts, I'll reciprocate the offer. It's just the fact that I don't have the money to do it.
Yeah, that's how it is. I wouldn't have them either. My mom did it for my birthday. So
see, that's
his mom did it for his birthday. So there's that. Turns out, mom's for the win.
I think we're like long lost brothers or something, like in a weird way.
Also, get the logo wrong because she was trying to be cute and secretive.
Almost.
Yeah. My mom was
the
my
Twitter
mom had
name
the poor
on the
guy
back.
working with a JPEG.
Oh my God, I love that.
But once again, thank you for doing the show, man.
Thank you so much.
You literally we created a show for you. You created a show for us. It's been a fantastic time talking. I think we've already become best friends. We'll go do karate in the garage next time we're in Indiana.
I love it, dude.
And
I'm all about it. And if you guys ever get back out here, I got a plenty of space in the booth. I got all the mics, and like I said, Cokes are a nickel, and there's a cup of nickels right next to it. So you're out.
Sounds good, man. Thank you for being on.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all. I hope you all stay in touch.
Yep, for sure. Hung up on him. Sorry.
Asshole.
See, so that's
awesome.
the running. That was the running joke for the longest time. I couldn't figure out how to ever hang up on somebody.
We messed up.
And then I just hung up on him.
Found it out. It's FaceTime. It's FaceTime that clicked.
Yeah, prematurely hung up on him. But it was a great interview. I loved him being on our show. I loved being on his show. I can't wait. And I think that he's right, Hannah. Like, I need to work with you on getting that. Let's get something put together to where I can at least just give somebody something and tell them, like, hey, this is what we're doing. This is what we want to do.
And the confidence to everything, too. I mean, it's people throw tons of dollars at advertising things that don't even get you in front of that many people. But if we have those downloads,
and but I want to say thank you, Shane, for being on the show.
I appreciate it, man.
Yes, many more to come.
It's a blast, man, and I really do want you to be a part of it as much as you can.
I love being here, man.
And Hannah, thank you for being on as well. You can obviously
thanks for the beer.
You can always find her at Crave Hannah on all social media. You can find the podcast at Juice in the AM on Twitter, and then also Juice in the AM on Instagram as well, I think. The Instagram's not growing as quickly as the Twitter, but it's also because I don't post a whole lot of pictures on there. So I'm going to start trying to get more pictures. When we're done with this, we're going to take a picture. And then I think I just want to tell you guys all to enjoy your week. I think it's going to be a good week. Stop taking the excitement out of things. Stop hating things.
Don't be so sensitive.
Just to hate. Don't be so sensitive.
Speaking of don't be so sensitive, I love my job and it is not a shithole. So I just want to throw that out there. I've worked there for 3 years and it's awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And you did a great job when I was there last time.
Oh, I appreciate it, man. Yeah, you guys were in the conference
You wouldn't
room.
be there for 3 years if you hated it. So.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Makes the money for sure.
And to be honest, I think literally all three of us in here have worked in the service industry, and
Absolutely.
I think it's a fun time. I mean, there is stuff that sucks about it, but I mean, just like every other job, there is stuff that sucks about your job, but there's also a lot of good things about your job. The thing that I miss the most is just the fun. I feel like serving and bartending, I just had fun.
So I worked so many manual labor jobs, and then I became a server, and I was like, "Wow, I can make this much money being a server."
By having a smile on your face and just being real,
and not coming home like covered in dirt or like
body
tired.
aching, sometimes.
Isn't it hilarious that you probably work with people that have never worked manual labor jobs, and then they're like, "Oh, this sucks so bad.
This is the worst thing ever," and you're like, "Yeah, try doing something ever."
Try
pretty much,
hauling shingles up onto a roof all day.
I worked in a concrete plant. It's just like, this is so much easier.
I tell everyone, I'm like, if you can just slightly focus, like serving is the best. It can be challenging.
I know Hannah has a hard time focusing.
Yeah. Well, the hardest part for me is just
slightly, use loosely, slightly.
The hardest part for me is just like, no matter how bad of a day you've had, you just got to leave that stuff at the door, because you're not gonna. Not only are you not gonna. People are there to make have a good time.
Yeah.
You don't want to ruin that for them.
Exactly.
Even like if that's a table, just
exactly. Yeah.
Leave that. Go.
I don't want to bum them out, because I got a bad vibe
going in. Some of my most fun days was like coming in after being like hungover, still somewhat drunk from the night before. I used to just bullshit so much with people.
My regulars loved it when I bartended. I'd be like doing shots of just pickle juice. I'm like, let's see how long until I throw up.
But once again, thanks for being on, guys. It's awesome. Just having you two on today has made me already realize that I think this is a good combination, because we didn't have a plan going in, but it flowed. We went from topic to topic, and it wasn't like abrupt stop.
Yeah.
And I like what we've got going on, so I want you guys to keep doing it. Keep coming in. The whole month of October, I'm going to be trying to do stuff like creepy stuff. So think of scary stories, think of ghost stories that maybe you have or somebody else has. Maybe even text your friends and be like, hey, do you guys have any stories? Share them with me. And then in a week or two, I got to look at the specific date. We're going to have Sarah Hawking back on, and she is a psychic / medium. So it's going to be a Monday though, so it's going to be a little bit weird with work and stuff. We'll work out the scheduling, but she is awesome. And if you guys have listened to the episode, she is very good at what she does, and she's going to be actually in person, so she's going to maybe read some stuff for us.
Hell yeah.
So, but she's great, and like I said, the rest of the month of October is going to be that. November is dedicated strictly to football. So,
as it should be.
Paul Lundgaard will be in. He is a friend of Brian Titus. He's going to be talking fantasy football. A guy that I work with is a... I'm going to have to edit that out.
You idiot.
A guy that I work with works for Pro Football Focus, and he's also really into fantasy football, so we're going to be talking about that.
Also, shout out to Brian Titus. I know he listens to almost every one of these, and I love that guy. And I know you do too. So.
Good guy. Yeah. We need to get him back on. But yeah, so once again, enjoy your week, guys, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Next week, I think we'll talk.
Shut it down.